begin where everything truly begins. Before names, before borders, before even the idea of time. Breathe with me, long before anyone thought to count the years. When the great northern ice still cradled half the world in its cold arms. The very first humans to walk this narrow, sun-blessed bridge between Africa and Europe paused beside sweet underground springs that still flow today. Their names are lost, but their footprints remain. Tiny, deliberate, pressed into red earth near the oasis of Redave, 35,000 years before this night, in the high caves of Kef El Agab and Od El Araug. They kindled the first fires ever seen on this coast. The glow painted running hunters on the rock walls, hunters chasing lions with black manes, whose roar once rolled from the Matmata hills all the way to the sea. Close your eyes. Feel the warmth of that fire on your face. Smell the resin smoke curling upward. See the child curled on ostrich feathers, while an elder traces antelope with a charcoal finger. 10,000 years drift past like quiet clouds. The ice loosens its grip. The Sahara is still a garden then, full of lakes and tall grass and acacia, trees heavy with yellow blossom. Straight-tusked elephants walk slowly across plains where the city of Tunis will one day stand. Hippopotami wallow in the river that will become the Medjida, and a gentle people we now call the Capsian, because their traces were first recognized near Gafsa, begin to decorate broken ostrich eggs with tiny triangles and zigzags that look like the heartbeat of the world itself. They grind wild grain on basalt stones. They bury their dead wearing necklaces of painted shells and little horned masks, so the spirits will know them in the next life. They leave no palaces, no kings, no writing, only the softest footprints and the scent of warm bread carried on a wind that has never forgotten how to be kind. Che. Listen closely. Can you hear the creak of cedar masts on the horizon? Around the year we would call 1200 before the Common Era. Ships with eyes painted on their prows glide over a sea bluer and gentler than any sea today. The people aboard call themselves Canaanites, children of the purple dye, masters of the alphabet and the long voyage. They are searching for silver, for tin, for places to rest their hearts far from the taxes of empires. One spring morning in 1101, before the Common Era, they beached their boats on a low silver shore north of where Tunis now stands, and found a small trading post they name Utica, the old one, because it is the first of their western colonies. Utica never dies. Even tonight you can walk among Roman graves that overlie Punic graves, that overlie Capsian hearths, and the waves still kiss the same stones they kissed 3,126 years ago. 93 years later, in the spring of 814 before the Common Era, another fleet appears, smaller, sadder, carrying exiles. At their head walks a woman in mourning robes, of deep indigo. Her name in her own tongue is Elisarbat-Matin, El the Promise, daughter of the gift of God. The Greeks will remember her as Dido. The Arabs will one day call her Alyssa again and love her twice. She has fled the city of Tyre because her brother Pygmalion murdered her husband, the high priest Asarbas, for his gold. She carries the ashes of that murdered love in a small leather bag pressed against her heart. With 80 companions, she sails west until the local Libyans, children of the ancient Numidians, say to her, "Princess of the far sunrise, you may have as much land as can be covered by the hide of one ox." So Alyssa, smiling through her tears, orders the hide cut into the thinnest strips human fingers can slice. And with those strips, she encircles an entire hill rising from a calm lagoon. On that hill she founds Carthage, the new city. We call it Carthage. Feel the evening wind on your cheek. That is the same wind that dried her tears the night she laid the first stone. For 5 centuries, Carthage grows like a violet flame on the edge of Africa. Her merchants sail beyond the pillars of Heracles to bring back Cornish tin and Nigerian ivory, and amber from islands that may have been the Canaries, or may have been only dreams. Her ships carry the 22 letters of the Phoenician alphabet farther west than any idea has ever traveled before. Her aristocrats wear robes so stiff with murex purple that one cloak costs more than a village of farmers will earn in a lifetime. Her gods, Baal Hammon and Tanit, the lady of the open hand and the closed circle, receive the most terrible and the most loving offerings any people have ever dared to give. And across the water, a small shepherd city on 7 hills is learning to stand upright and call itself Rome. The year 264 before the Common Era, a quarrel over Sicilian mercenaries lights the first spark. The First Punic War begins. 23 years of sea battles, oars breaking like bones, thousands of young men slipping beneath the waves, still clutching their oars. And in the end, Rome learns how to fight on water. Carthage loses Sicily, then Sardinia, then Corsica, then the right to have a navy at all. But in Carthage, a little boy stands before an altar of Baal, while his father, Hamilcar Barca, the lightning of God, makes him swear an oath of eternal hatred against Rome. The boy is 9 years old. His name is Hannibal. 15 years later, in the spring of 218 before the Common Era, Hannibal leaves Spain with 90,000 men, 50,000 horses, and 37 elephants. He crosses the Pyrenees. He crosses the Rhone, where the elephants scream in terror at the rushing water. He crosses the Alps, while winter bites his army to pieces. When he reaches Italy, he has perhaps 26,000 men left, one eye already lost to infection, and still he is undefeated for 15 years. At Lake Trasimene, he hides his army in the morning mist and wipes out an entire Roman army before breakfast. At Cana, on the 2nd of August, 216, before the Common Era. He performs the most perfect double envelopment battle in all military history. 80,000 Romans march onto the field in the morning, and by sunset, 70,000 of them are dead, their gold rings heaped in bushels to be sent back to Carthage as proof. Rome despairs. Old men weep in the forum. They offer human sacrifice for the only time in Roman history, and still Hannibal cannot take Rome itself. Instead, Rome sends a quiet young general named Publius Cornelius Scipio to attack Carthage's lifeline in Spain. Scipio wins. He takes the name Africanus even before he has set foot in Africa. In 204, he lands near Utica with the best army Rome has ever trained. The last battle comes on the dusty plains of Zama, 50 kilometers southwest of Carthage, in October 202, before the Common Era. For the first time, the Carthaginian elephants panic and trample their own lines. For the first time, Hannibal's center breaks. He rides from the field with 7 horsemen, turns once to look at the ruin of his dream, and whispers, "Rome, you have won." He spends the next 20 years in exile, advising Eastern kings how to fight Rome, until the Romans hunt him down to a small village in Bithynia. There, in 183 before the Common Era, he drinks poison from a ring and says, "Let us relieve the Romans of the anxiety they feel at the length of an old man's life." Carthage survives as a broken vassal for another 50 years. Still rich, still beautiful, still dangerous in Roman nightmares. Every speech in the Senate ends with the same sentence from old Cato: "Ceterum censeo Carthaginem esse delendum." Furthermore, I am of the opinion that Carthage must be destroyed. In 149, the Third Punic War begins for no reason except fear. For 3 years, Carthage defends herself street by street. In 146, the city falls. For 6 days and 6 nights, the fire burns. The wife of the last commander, Hasdrubal, dresses her children in their finest clothes, kisses them, and throws them from the highest tower of the temple of Eshmun into the flames, rather than let them become Roman slaves. Then she jumps after them. The Romans sow the earth with salt, or so the story says, though archaeologists have never found the salt. What they do find is a layer of black ash 2 meters thick, and beneath it, the tiny sandal of a little girl who never grew up. On the ruins, Rome builds her own city, bigger, whiter, richer. Africa Proconsularis becomes the breadbasket of the empire. The olive groves of Thystris, modern Algem, produce more oil than all of Egypt. The amphitheater of Algem rises in the middle of wheat fields for no reason except pride. The third largest in the world, seating 35,000 in a town that never had more than 20,000 souls. At Sophocles, modern Espatla, 4 temples to Jupiter, Juno, Minerva, and the deified emperors stand at the crossroads of perfect Roman streets. In Dugga, the Capitolium gleams white against the blue sky, and the theater still holds 3,500 people every summer for plays that were old when Jesus was born. Beneath the Latin names, the Berber farmers still speak their own language in the highlands, still carve the name of Massinissa, the great Numidian king who chose Rome over Carthage and founded a dynasty that lasted 150 years. They still remember that once they too had queens. Then, in the year 439 of the Common Era, a fleet of blue-sailed ships from Spain appears again. This time they are Vandals, Germanic sea wolves who have marched all the way across Gaul and Spain with their families in wagons. They take Carthage almost without a fight. For 94 years, the Vandal kingdom rules from the Strait of Gibraltar to the Gulf of Sirte. They are Arian Christians who persecute the Orthodox with gentle cruelty, and they mint gold coins so pure that even Byzantium envies them. But in Constantinople, a new emperor, Justinian, dreams of knitting the empire back together. In 533, he sends his best general, Belisarius, with only 16,000 men, in 2 battles, Ad Decimum and Tricomaron. The Vandal kingdom ends as suddenly as a candle pinched between fingers. Carthage becomes Byzantine again, and for 150 years, the fortress walls are rebuilt. Churches rise with mosaics of peacocks and vines, and Greek becomes the language of law once more. In the highlands, the Berber tribes watch and wait. They have learned to change masters without changing themselves. And far to the east, in the desert city of Yathrib, that will soon be called Medina, a man is born in the year 570, whom the world will come to know as Muhammad ibn Abdullah. Peace be upon him. By the time his message reaches the Maghreb, the Byzantine province is exhausted by taxes and plague. In 647, the first Arab raid strikes Esbatla and carries off marble columns like toys. In 670, the general Uqba ibn Nafi founds a quiet military camp among the olive trees and names it Kairouan, the caravan, the resting place. Kairouan becomes the first Muslim city in the West. Its great mosque, built with columns stolen from Roman temples, its mihrab pointing toward a Mecca that feels impossibly far away. From there, the message spreads like gentle rain. In 698, the Arabs return to Carthage for the last time. They pull down what little remains and use the stones to build Tunis a few kilometers away. A city whose name simply means the encampment, the place where we spend the night. Carthage finally sleeps. For 300 years, the Maghreb is ruled by governors sent from Damascus, and then from Baghdad. The Aghlabid dynasty, founded in 800, turns Kairouan into one of the wonders of the world. Libraries, perfumed gardens, ribbed cisterns that look like upside-down forests. They conquer Sicily, raid Rome itself in 846 and bring back the bells of St. Peter's to hang as lamps in their mosques. But the Berbers never fully accept foreign rule. In the year 909, a man claiming descent from Fatima, the daughter of the Prophet, is proclaimed the Mahdi in the oasis of Sijil Masa. His propagandist, Abu Abdullah al-Shi, raises the Berber Kutama tribes, and within 10 years, the Fatimid Caliphate sweeps across North Africa like a purple tide. In 921, the Caliph al-Mahdi moves his capital to a new palace city on the coast, Mahdia, the city of the Mahdi, with walls so thick you can ride 2 horses abreast along the top. From Mahdia, the Fatimids launch the fleet that will conquer Egypt in 969 and found Cairo, the victorious. Tunisia becomes a rich backwater. The Zirid dynasty, left behind as viceroys, rules from Kairouan for 100 years of poetry and medicine, and trade in gold from across the desert. Then, in 1052, because the Zirids recognize the Abbasid Caliph in Baghdad instead of the Fatimid in Cairo, revenge comes. From Upper Egypt, the Fatimids send 2 Bedouin tribes, the Banu Hilal and the Banu Sulaim, with their women and children and camels as a human weapon. They cross the Nile like locusts. In 1057, they sack Kairouan so completely that the city never recovers its greatness. The historian Ibn Khaldun will later call this the greatest disaster ever to befall the Maghreb. The coast fragments into small kingdoms. The Norman kings of Sicily conquer parts of the shore for a while. The Almohads rise in Morocco and sweep east in the name of absolute unity of God, destroying everything that smells of luxury. They take Tunis in 1159, and for 70 years, the white banners of the Almohads fly from the minarets. Then the Almohads fall, and in 1207, a quiet scholar from the Banu Hafs clan takes power in Tunis almost by accident. For 300 years, the Hafsid dynasty rules a kingdom that stretches from Tripoli to Tlemcen, sometimes independent, sometimes paying tribute to Aragon or to the Ottoman Sultan, always trading, always writing poetry, always arguing about theology in the madrasas that circle the great mosque like pigeons. This is the golden age you smell when you walk the souks of the Medina tonight. The age of lemonwood boxes inlaid with mother of pearl, of velvet saddles embroidered in gold thread, of ambergris perfume, and coral beads and books, copied in calligraphy, so beautiful it makes grown men weep. In the year 1270, a French king with a saint's name, Louis IX, lands at Carthage believing God has called him to crusade. He dies of dysentery beneath the walls within weeks, and his bones are boiled clean and carried home in a silk bag. The beach where he landed is still called La Marsa, the harbor, though almost no one remembers why. In 1534, the corsair Barbarossa, red-bearded terror of Christendom, sweeps in with the fleet of the Ottoman Sultan, and and plants the crescent flag on the fortress of La Goulette. For the next 3 centuries, Tunisia lives between two worlds. Nominally, an Ottoman regency, actually a pirate republic where the Dey and the Bey and the corsair captains share the loot of half the Mediterranean. The great families of Tunis build palaces, painted turquoise and rose, with courtyards so quiet you can hear a rose petal fall. European consuls tremble and pay protection money. Renegades from every nation convert, take new names, marry local women, and become richer than princes. The slave markets of the Rue des Libraires sell Circassian girls and Icelandic boys captured as far away as the coasts of Ireland. In 1705, a simple soldier of Greek origin named Hussein ibn Ali shoots his way to power and founds a dynasty of beys that will last until 1957. Under the Husainids, Tunisia becomes almost a nation again. Its own army, its own coinage, its own delicate diplomacy between Istanbul, Paris, and London. The 19th century arrives like fever. Europe is hungry for colonies. The beys borrow money they can never repay to build palaces and buy French mirrors. In 1869, the great Mosque of El Jem is sold to pay the interest on European loans. In 1880, 1 French gunboats appear off La Goulette, and the Bey signs the Treaty of Bardo in a candlelit room while his hand shakes. The French protectorate begins. For 75 years, Tunisia lives under a strange double government. The Bey still reigns in his palace at La Marsa, but the French resident general actually rules. French colons take the best land. Railways lace the country. Tunis becomes a city of wide boulevards and Art Nouveau cafes, where Italian masons and Maltese shopkeepers and Jewish silversmiths and Muslim scholars drink side by side under ceiling fans. But beneath the surface, something is waking. In the 1920s, a young lawyer named Habib Bourguiba founds a newspaper called Relaxation Tunisian and begins to dream out loud of independence. In 1934, he breaks away to create the Neo-Destour Party, the new constitution. And for the next 22 years, he will be exiled, imprisoned, exiled again, until the dream becomes too loud to ignore. The Second World War passes over Tunisia like fire. In November 1942, Operation Torch lands American troops at Algiers and Iran. And within days, German paratroopers are dropping onto the airfield at El Ayouna. For 6 months, Tunisia is the only place on earth where American and German soldiers fight each other on African soil. The plain of Mejaz El Bab is littered with the burned bodies of tanks. In May 1943, the Axis surrenders. 250,000 prisoners march into cages under the olive trees. After the war, the French Empire begins to crack. In 1952, Bourguiba is imprisoned again on the island of La Galette. But the tide has turned. On the 20th of March, 1956, France finally signs the Protocol of Independence. On the 25th of July, 1957, the Beylik is abolished and the Republic is proclaimed. Habib Bourguiba, thin, intense, eyes burning with 30 years of waiting, becomes the first president of Tunisia. For 31 years, he rules with a father's love and a schoolmaster's rod. Girls are sent to school by law. The veil is discouraged. Land is redistributed. The code of personal status gives women rights unheard of in most Muslim countries. No polygamy, no repudiation, divorce only by court, inheritance closer to equality than anywhere else in the Arab world. He calls himself the supreme combatant, Al-Mujahid Al-Akbar, and builds a nation that looks west across the sea to Europe, while still praying toward the east. But nations, like children, grow up and want to choose their own way. On the morning of the 7th of November 1987, while the jasmine is still wet with dew, the 84-year-old president is declared medically unfit by 7 doctors. His prime minister, General Zine El Abidine Ben Ali, takes power in a bloodless palace coup the world calls the Jasmine Revolution, though the real Jasmine Revolution is still 23 years away. For the next 23 years, Ben Ali rules with a silk glove over an iron fist. The economy grows. Tourists lie on the beaches of Hammamet and Sousse. Women walk bareheaded in the streets of Tunis. But underneath, the secret police are everywhere, and the prisons are full of young men who grew beards or asked the wrong questions. Then comes the year 2010. On the 17th of December, a 26-year-old street vendor named Mohammed Bouazizi in the dusty town of Sidi Bouzid is publicly humiliated by a policewoman who confiscates his scales and slaps his face. In despair, he douses himself with petrol and lights a match in front of the governor's office. Within hours, the video is on Facebook. Within days, the whole country is burning with a gentle, terrible fire. Young people who have never known any leader but Ben Ali pour into the streets chanting Dagage, get out. On the 14th of January, 2011, Ben Ali flees to Saudi Arabia with his wife and their suitcases of gold. The Arab Spring begins in a small Tunisian town and changes the face of the world. What follows is 10 years of fragile, luminous, impossible democracy. A new constitution is written in 2014, one of the most progressive in the world. Islam is the religion of the state, but freedom of conscience is guaranteed, something almost unheard of in an Arab constitution. Women keep every right Bourguiba gave them and gain more. Elections are free. Newspapers say whatever they want. Comedians mock the president on television, but the economy staggers. Tourism collapses after terrorist attacks in 2015 at the Bardo Museum and on the beach of Port El Cantoui. Unemployment among the young stays cruelly high. old structures of corruption, simply put on new faces. In July 2021, President Kais Saied, a stiff constitutional law professor elected on an anti-corruption platform, invokes emergency powers, suspends parliament, and begins ruling by decree. Some call it a coup, some call it a correction. The jasmine wilts a little, but does not die. And yet, tonight, as I whisper this to you, on the 23rd of November 2025, Tunisia is still the only country of the Arab Spring that has not fallen back into dictatorship or civil war. The cafes of Avenue Bourguiba are full of young people arguing about politics until 3 in the morning. Women in hijab and women in shorts drink coffee at the same table. The call to prayer drifts over rooftops where satellite dishes catch European football and Korean dramas. In the Medina, the coppersmiths still hammer the same rhythms their grandfathers hammered under the French, under the Beys, under the Hafsids, under the Romans. And if you walk at dawn to the hill of Baissa, where Queen Elissa once stood with salt wind in her hair, you can look down over the Crescent Bay and see layer upon layer of lives lived on the same beloved earth. The Capsian child grinding grain, the Phoenician sailor painting an eye on his brow, Hannibal's elephant trembling in the alpine snow, the Roman matron choosing mosaics of dolphins and roses, the Vandal princess learning to speak Latin with a German accent, the Fatimid poet writing verses about eyes the color of the sea, the Andalusian refugee planting jasmine outside his new house after the fall of Granada, the French painter Paul Klee seeing blue angels in the light of City Boo said, the student in 2011 holding up a sign that says game over. All of them, all of us, breathing the same soft air, drinking from the same underground springs that tasted sweet 35,000 years ago. Tunisia is not a country. Tunisia is a conversation that has never stopped, even when swords were drawn, even when fires burned, even when dictators tried to silence it. And the conversation continues tonight, tomorrow, the day after, in 100 languages, in 1,000 accents, always gentle, always stubborn, always turning its face to the sea and to the desert at the same time. So sleep now, sleep with the sound of waves on the shore of Carthage, with the scent of jasmine heavier than memory, with the certainty that tomorrow the sun will rise again over this narrow bridge of earth, and someone will add another sentence to the longest love story ever told between a people and their land. Good night, beloved listener. Good night, Tunisia.